I'm Delphine Ballard uh, Gibson, but I was born in 1937 in a little farmhouse about 2 miles from the school, and have lived here on the mountain all my life except what time I was away at Collegedale and Southern Adventist University. We started the school at Floral Crest in, I believe it was 1943. We were 7 years old anyway when we started because Mom and Daddy had taught us the first grade at home. So when we had been in the first grade at Floral Crest for a few weeks, they went to see my Mom and Daddy and asked them if they could promote us to the second grade because they thought we were just bored, with what they were trying to teach us. So they let them do that. And so we made first and second in 1 year. My mother, Ethel Elliott Ballard, she went to Floral Crest as a child back in the early 1900s. And so we were the second generation to go to Floral Crest. My daughter was the second or third generation, and then my son came along and he was in the same third generation. Then my daughter got married and had a son, and he went to Floral Crest through the 7th grade. So there's been 4 generations of the Ballard family that went to Floral Crest. Mama never drove. She never did learn to drive. So Daddy had to bring us to Sabbath school and church. He was not a member of the church. She was. But he always faithfully brought us to Sabbath school and church. And he would go out way down on that rock between here and Joyce and Ron White's house, and he'd smoke during intermission between Sabbath school and church, and then he'd come back. That's the reason he didn't join the church until we were in academy or college. I don't remember which, but he eventually became an Adventist, but he believed it all the time. I think from the time Mama joined, she joined before we were born, and faithfully went to church, from then on. Our first teacher was Mrs. Olive Clark, and she lived about a quarter of a mile from us, and she would let Darlene and I go up there. We'd walk up to her house, and one of us would help clean her house, and the other one practice piano because we didn't have a piano at home. And so we did that for a long time. I don't remember how long, but when she got ready to move back to Boone, North Carolina, where she had come from, she sold her piano to Mom and Daddy for us, and we had it for years and years. Back in those days, a lot of people didn't have vehicles and Pappy D. Wade, which is Leon Wade's grandpa, he was one of the ones that came around to collect tuition, and he came on horseback, and I think it was only $2 or $3 a month or something. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was very little. So Daddy would always turn the tuition into him, and there was a couple that came out here on Sabbath once a month or 6 weeks or something like that on seminar band, they called it, from Collegedale. And the man would preach, and of course his wife came with him usually. So Mama was a really good cook, so she usually invited somebody home with her for lunch on Sabbath. And they talked Mom and Daddy into letting us go to Collegedale Academy for the 11th and 12th grade. That was so wonderful because we had been raised in the boonies and wouldn't have known anything about life if we hadn't got to go to Collegedale Academy. So, my first job after I got out of college was secretary to the administrator of Watkins Memorial Hospital at Ellijay, Georgia. And I stayed down there for a year before I married my first husband.